Good evening. My name is Tzipit Zwiebel. I am the president of Emunah Toronto. It is a pleasure to welcome you this evening. We are so grateful to everyone who generously donated to tonight's dinner and to all of you who are tuned in from the comfort of your homes. We cannot begin this evening without taking a moment to mention that the past 3 weeks have been extremely difficult. Thousands of rockets have been launched at Israel. Sirens are sounding throughout the country, from Ashkelon to Jerusalem to Herzliya, and the violence, death, and injury count is heartbreaking. While rockets rained down on Israel, children at 3 of our residential homes slept in shelters. Without parents to comfort them, Emunah staff ensured these children stayed safe while providing emotional and therapeutic support. Suddenly, the needs for the funds we raised tonight became even more critical. As we move forward, trauma therapy will have to be provided in many of our facilities. We also have designated centers in cities like Sderot, providing vital therapy for Israelis. We pray for an end to all the violence and the restoration of peace and stability. While we have no honorees highlighted in tonight's program, we are proud to recognize CHANGEMAKERS, those in our community, and Emunah, an organization that has been changing lives for generations. Emunah creates positive, transformative, and critical change for Israel's most vulnerable citizens. Many people are not aware that in addition to our network of over 160 social welfare projects, Emunah is also actively advocating for and promoting the interests and voices of women and families in the context of Jewish law. Emunah heals, empowers, and creates long-lasting change.
Good evening. My name is Shira Schwartz, and I'm the chair of tonight's virtual dinner. Emunah is thrilled to have you join us, and we hope that our format finds you comfortable in your homes, dressed a bit more casually, and enjoying a great dinner, hopefully with a glass of wine, as we toast a successful 2021 campaign geared to continuing our steadfast support for Israel's most vulnerable. Here in Canada, we have experienced a difficult 15 months. We are extremely blessed to have changemakers in our community, people who have made a difference. Tonight, we celebrate 27 of them. Throughout the evening, we will have an opportunity to meet our changemakers and to learn about them. Let's meet some now.
Appreciation,
compassion,
kindness,
patience,
a privilege,
collaboration,
thoughtfulness.
During the pandemic, I volunteered for the Chesed versus COVID-19 program. I pick up and deliver groceries for elderly people who are unable to get out and shop due to COVID.
During the pandemic, I began Pen Buds, a pen pal service where students and young adults write letters and cards to residents in senior and long-term care facilities. I realized that while many of us are fortunate to be able to be with family and have limited social interactions with friends, many others are not as lucky.
I love cooking and baking, so I decided to open a baking business in the summer of 2021. The menu included cookies, brownies, and muffins. After 2 months of doing my business, I ended up raising $1,200 for Emunah. This was my bat mitzvah project, as I know COVID was especially difficult for them.
During the pandemic, I've been staying in touch with seniors through Circle of Care's Phone Pal program. I act as a health monitor as well as support during this difficult time. I've also been taking part in grocery shopping for those who are unable to get out and shop for themselves.
With COVID, I've continued my volunteer work via Zoom. I run bi-weekly lessons through NCSY's Learn and Earn program. I also teach an individual with special needs through Yachad and tutor an Ethiopian student in English through Friends by Nature, an Israeli-based program for at-risk Ethiopian Israeli youth and their families.
I work in the Creative Arts Studio at Baycrest Long-Term Care Facility. It is always challenging to care for our seniors, but these past 14 months have been beyond challenging. Long-term care homes had to pivot and redeploy us based on constantly changing protocols. We are dealing with people's lives, people who are loved, people who love, and need to connect with others to survive. With all the restrictions, I felt like we were at war against a silent enemy. We met the challenge because our job is not just art, but to improve residents' emotional health, and with COVID restrictions, our task was that much more critical.
Women's learning has always been something very important to me. During this pandemic, I wanted to help make sure that it was available when people needed it more than ever. I continued my work with the Women's Beit Midrash, which transferred all of its programming online and expanded the learning offered to appeal to a wider range of participants.
Providing a safe place for our community to shop during the pandemic is a responsibility I take very seriously. It starts with taking every possible precaution to protect our employees while they risk their health to provide essential service to our customers. I am very proud of our staff for their efforts during this difficult time, and I am very blessed to have such a great team. What I am most proud of is that lowering prices of food in my store and making kosher food affordable has caused a chain reaction for other retailers to lower their kosher food prices as well.
Good evening. My name is Dalia Hakimi. I am the chair of the board of Emunah Canada. For those of you watching, I thought I would take a few minutes to tell you a little more about what Emunah does. Emunah is an incredible social welfare network that helps about 10,000 individual people in Israel every single day. We help people in daycare centers, crisis centers, senior programs, and in our 5 high schools. Many of the children in Emunah's 5 residential homes come from very tough situations: drug abuse, addiction, alcoholism, violence in the home, depression, and other mental health issues. Frankly, it is sometimes hard to comprehend the challenging and desperate situations where these children were living before we were able to step into their lives and help them. But when you give to Emunah, you are not just changing one life. You're changing future generations too. Think about that. You can be part of that change.
קוראים לי רות, אני בת 21. עליתי מאתיופיה בגיל 7. עליתי עם המשפחה שלי, עם שתי אחים שלי הקטנים ועם שתי ההורים שלי. המצב הכלכלי בבית, אני יודעת שהוא היה קצת קשה. היה הרבה אלימות. אבא שלי היה מאוד אלים כלפי אמא שלי. אני זוכרת את זה בתור ילדה קטנה, שכאילו הייתי מתעוררת, רואה אותה לפעמים מדממת, כל מיני סיטואציות שאני רואה אותה בוכה. אני מגיעה לגיל 12. אני ואח שלי הקטן היינו בבית. בשעה 1 בלילה קמתי לצחות של אמא שלי. אבא שלי, הוא דקר אותה והתאבד. שמעתי כזה מים, כנראה הוא שטף את הסכין, הוא לא יודעת מה זה היה. ושאלתי אותו מה קרה. מה קרה לי? אמא אמר לי, הכל טוב, תחזרי לישון, כזה באמרית. אני הערתי את אח שלי הקטן, הדלת של החדר הייתה נעולה, היינו בתוך החדר. ניסינו לצאת, לא הצלחנו, כאילו לא היה לנו מפתח. ראינו את כל האדם מתחת לדלת. אני ואח שלי הבנו את זה באותו רגע. כל הלילה שמענו כזה קולות של חניקה, והריח של אדם, איך הוא, כאילו אני מדברת על זה וזה עדיין באמת עולה לי, כי זה מה שאני לא אשכח בחיים. היה לנו בחדר דלת כזה, אז היה אפשר כאילו לטפס ולצאת משם. ותחשוב שאנחנו יוצאים משם, זה לראות את אמא ששוכבת על הרצפה, את אבא שלי כאילו תלוי, וזה לעבור אותם, בשביל להגיע לדלת כאילו של הבית. זה היה כאילו שוק, ממש הייתי בהלם. זה לא היה משהו שכאילו ציפינו לו, למרות שידעתי שכאילו באמת אבא שהוא... הייתי מאוד מחוברת עליו, הייתי ילדה של אבא. אחרי כל מה שקרה, עברנו לגור אצל סבא וסבתא שלי. סבתא שלי לא עובדת, וסבא שלי הוא היה מנקה. הגענו אליהם והמצב היה מאוד באמת הפוך. היא לא הצליחה לקלוט את זה שהבן שלה עשה דבר כזה. וגם סבא שלי הוא הכחיש. הוא רצה לספר לעצמו שהיא נפלה במקלחת. אחרי כמה חודשים סבא וסבתא שלי לא היו יכולים לגדל אותנו יותר. התחלנו לחפש פנימיות. הגעתי לאחוזת שרה. נכנסתי למקום, המקום יפה. והגעתי לעובדת סוציאלית שלי, גילה. גילה היה אחד מהאנשים שליוו אותי במשך 3 שנים האלה. היא מדהימה, היא הייתה, כאילו אפילו לא כמו, הייתה אמא שלי. ועדיין, כאילו אנחנו בקשר עד היום. הרגשתי שבאמת הרבה מדריכים שהיו שם באו בראש באמת שאני באה לתת ולאהוב. זה המקום הראשון באמת שהאמינו בי בו. פשוט לא ויתרו עליי. מתי הרגשתי שאני מתחילה להאמין בעצמי, שהצלחתי בבוגרות הראשונה שלי. חשוב לי שידעו שהמקום הזה זה בית, כל נער וילד שמגיע לשם זוכה. שם כאילו באמת הבנתי שיש לי פה משהו שאני יכולה להיעזר בו ולעלות למעלה. התגייסתי לצבא, והיום אני מפקדת בפלוגה של העולות החדשות מכל העולם. אני היום נמצאת במקום שאני יכולה לעזור להם ולתת להם דברים שנתנו לי כביכול להחזיר בחזרה. חלום שלי, וואו, אני יודעת בדיוק מה אני רוצה. להיות מקום שהילדים שמתחנכים איך שאני רוצה ולא איך שהמציאות מביאה אותם. פשוט להיות.
Although we are living through challenging and unpredictable times, tonight is proof that our community is prepared to continually come together with great spirit and focus to help each other. In Jewish teaching, any activity that improves the world, bringing it closer to harmony, is called tikkun olam. The Mishnah teaches that any tikkun, any correction made in the world, reverberates through and motivates the rest of humanity. Each tikkun has the potential to change everything. All human activities are opportunities to fulfill this mission and to improve the world. Changemakers are amazing people who, in their own unique and individual ways, have played a role in tikkun, Incorrection. They've made a positive impact on the world through their acts of kindness and selflessness. Theirs is a mission of kindness, whether through public and community service, education, or health services. Let's meet a few more of our changemakers.
Caring.
Passionate.
Empathy.
Community.
Staying in touch.
Gratitude.
Compassion.
Throughout the pandemic, I've been leading elements of the response within public health agencies, as well as using my academic role to advocate at various levels for policies that will keep our community safe. I've also been providing guidance to individuals, community leaders, and organizations, including schools, camps, shuls, and other educational institutions related to COVID-19, as well as working with others in COVID, the Toronto Jewish Community COVID-19 Task Force.
In the past, I worked with palliative care and with hospices in Thornhill during COVID. There are many seniors that have family abroad, and there is no one here to help make major decisions about their health. I act as a middleman between those here and those far away. For people who don't have access to technology, I am the go-between between the hospitals and the families. From personal hygiene to food, or when, God forbid, there is a crisis, I help make the decisions on their behalf, sometimes just trying to preserve quality of life for those in palliative care.
I began a unit of clinical pastoral education at Baycrest as a way to help patients and residents be less lonely during COVID. I also helped organize virtual learning opportunities through the Toronto Kollel's Women's Beit Midrash for those who would not otherwise have had the chance to connect or have access to the Kollel's diverse teachers.
When the first set of lockdowns occurred, closing synagogues and other Jewish institutions, I, along with others, volunteered for Protect program to patrol the community at various times of the day and night to ensure that vacant community institutions were safe and secure. Throughout COVID, I recruited people from the community to help with this program.
I love being able to help people, recognizing their strengths, especially during a time full of loneliness. We built a matchmaking organization called Lev to Lev, Heart to Heart, targeting singles 22 and up from all groups in our community, from the Haredi to modern Orthodox and the secular. This became so important when COVID hit and socializing was restricted, but we could still continue our matchmaking online, on the phone, and even face-to-face.
When I came to Canada in 1999, I immersed myself in the community and supported many charities. My passion was people and trying to make a difference. Before COVID, I began volunteering at Vahafta, cooking meals in their kitchen with a team of people to feed the homeless.
From grocery shopping for seniors to Hesed versus COVID, to baking homemade challah and delivering them to people throughout the city, there have been so many ways to foster faith and connection during these fearful times. Phone calls, online posts, and Zoom calls create opportunities to support others, all helping us to feel and stay connected.
Last summer, I volunteered with PPE for HCPs, an organization led by medical students that aimed to collect donations of personal protective equipment to frontline workers during the PPE shortage. My role was to coordinate between donors and healthcare facilities, such as hospitals, long-term care centers, and homeless shelters, to provide donations to those in need.
Shalom, my name is Nancy Chernovsky. I'm a social worker and family therapist, and I run the Emunah Rachel Family Counseling Center of Beit Shemesh. We see about 100 families a week. Many of the people that come here have experienced trauma. It could be sexual abuse, it could be critical upbringing, violence. I think people that come for help, they are feeling very bad about themselves. They feel that the problem that they're dealing with has taken over their lives. People have had difficulties with the corona, whether it's anxiety, fear. It has exacerbated some of the problems that already had. we help people reconnect with their resilience, with their hopes, and with their dreams. The doors are open to anybody. The prices are subsidized. We have a very warm, dedicated staff. For sure, we could not do it without the help of all the Emunah women who dedicate their lives to Emunah. Just today, a woman said to me, when I think of where I was a year ago, this woman ran away from an abusive husband and she's living alone now with her 3 children. And she said to me, when I think of what kind of mother, my mothering a year ago and where I am today, it's a totally different thing. I'm not the same person. When I see how people can get back to themselves, it gives me a very strong feeling about people's ability to change and grow and move on in their lives. So I benefit from it also.
Some of you may have met Rabbi Sharon Shalom when he visited Toronto a number of years ago. His is a remarkable story that highlights what Emunah does. He is a change maker, a young boy who is given a home and an education, who goes on to serve in the IDF, build a family, become a community rabbi, and university professor.
The virus that had changed the face of our society all over the world does not see social circle and borders, does not distinguish between religious, does not distinguish between black and white, or between one sector or another, or between Jewish and non-Jewish. But most of all, we feel now has people understanding what it is to be alone, a kind of war between hope and despair. I immigrated to Israel alone without my family. I want to live in children's home in Afula, Emunah woman. At one point, I received the bitter news that my parents were no longer alive. For 2 years, I lived with the knowledge that I would continue in this world without my family. Being alone is hard. I was actually an orphan child, a brown child, without knowledge of the Hebrew language, Gurnisht mit Gurnisht, a schwarze child. The Emunah Children's Center provided for all my needs. One day, the Children's Center's director called me. Sharon immediately came to my office. I went to his office and sat down. Then he told me that the news I had received 2 years earlier about my parents' deaths had been a mistake. My entire family was alive. And the night before they had made Aliyah in Operation Moses. ממש מחיי המתים. And Baruch Hashem, K'nai Nehore. Today I am Rabbi at Kedoshei Yisrael Community, a congregation established by Holocaust survivors in Kiryat Gat. And Baruch Hashem, I am married with my wife Avital, with our 5 children, living in Kiryat Gat in Eretz Yisrael. And also, just a years ago, we had a privilege to open the International Center for the Study of Ethiopian Jewry in the Emunah Academic College, which is the first of its kind in the world. It's a new beginning, it's new beginning, and a dream that has come true. I am, Baruch Hashem, also senior lecturer and head of this center. Personality, when I think about my life, I know that Emunah have played significant and meaningful role in my success. Emunah changed my life. And now I am changing and impacting other lives. Baruch Hashem.
As you see, Emunah is amazing. We are there for our children. Children don't age out. Emunah is their forever family. Emunah takes them to the army. They walk them down the aisle at their weddings. Emunah is there by their side, helping and nurturing them throughout their life journey. Emunah is building foundations upon which children can build their lives, knowing that whatever challenges they face, they are not alone. Emunah is changing lives.
קוראים לי שגב, נולדתי בקזחסטן. כשהייתי בן 2.5, ההורים שלי החליטו לעשות עלייה לישראל, ופה לאט לאט הכל התחיל להידרדר. המצב הכלכלי לא היה טוב. אבא שלי היה עובד מהבוקר עד הלילה, לא היינו רואים אותו בכלל. אמא שלי פשוט היה לה בעיית אלכוהול, הייתה שותה הרבה. הייתי מפחד ממנה, כי היא לא הייתה צפויה. יכולה פעם להיות הכי רגועה, הכי שלווה, ופעם אחת כאילו נכנס בה איזה שד, כי הייתה יכולה להרים על הידיים, קיללה הרבה. בעצם כל הזמן הייתי לבד. הייתי קם בבוקר ולא הייתי יודע אם יש אוכל בבית. ואם לא היה אוכל, אז הייתי נשאר רעב לכל היום. עד היום אני זוכר את זה, איך זה להיות רעב, להסתכל על אנשים אחרים שיש להם אוכל ושלך אין. לחיות בבית שהוא אלים ושהוא לא צפוי, אי אפשר להתפתח במקום הזה. אני זוכר שהשתדלתי להיות בבית, הייתי מסתובב ברחובות, היה לנו שכונה לא פשוטה. היו שם כל מיני כאלה שאפשר להיגרר אחריהם לסמים, לסיגריות, הייתי נראה אחריהם. והיינו עושים כל מיני שטויות, היינו פורצים למקומות. עד שיום אחד תפסו אותנו. חבר שלי נכנס לתוך רכב, ואז עצר לידינו ניידת. הוא הצליח לברוח, אותי תפסו כאילו והכניסו לניידת. אז הרווחה החליטו להוציא אותי מהבית, ועברתי לפנימיית אמונה בעפולה. מהר מאוד נקלטתי לפה. בוא נגיד שפנימיית אמונה עפולה הפכה לבית הראשון שלי. הצוות פה התחיל לדחוף אותי קדימה, אז התחלתי להשתפר בלימודים. נהייתי פחות אלים, יותר יודע מה אני רוצה להשיג בחיים שלי. אחד הדברים שאני לא אשכח זה את המדריך שלי, מתן. באמת נתן לי את הכלים, הוא לא ויתר לי בשום דבר. ואז בגיל 18 סיימתי פה, התגייסתי לצבא לחטיבת כפיר. כשהשתחררתי רציתי להיכנס לעבוד פה, להחזיר למקום הזה, לקח לי זמן לחזור לפה. בינתיים בזמן הזה הכרתי את עולם הנגרות והתחלתי לבנות דברים מעץ. כשאני עובד בעץ זה נותן לי להרגיש טוב עם עצמי, זה נותן לי להרגיש שאני עושה את הדבר הנכון. אחרי תקופה חזרתי לעבוד פה בתור מדריך. חשבתי לשלב בין ההדרכה לנגרות, חשבתי שזה יעשה טוב. הילדים לומדים פה על התמדה, על תכנון, איך הם מתנהלים במקום עבודה, איך לנו לבנות מוצרים כמו נדנדות, פינות ישיבה, הכסף הולך לילדים. זה נותן להם תחושה שהם שווים, שהם עושים משהו ורוצים אותו, כאילו זה נותן להם עוד אופק בחיים. אמונה היא לא רק בית בשבילי, אמונה היא גם בית בשביל עשרות של ילדים שזה הבית שלהם, והם יכולים גם לחזור לכאן, יכולים לבוא, להתייעץ, לבקש עזרה. האנשים שפה גדלים להיות אנשים טובים יותר לילדים שלהם, יהיה עתיד אחר לגמרי משלהם. מה החלום שלי? האמת שהחלום שלי התגשם, זה להיות פה, להביא דרך לילדים האלה, ולתת להם להצליח. זה היה החלום שלי.
We've shown you stories of how Emunah has impacted the lives of children and families in Israel. Now let's meet the rest of our community changemakers.
Collaboration.
Empathy.
Staying creative.
Connection.
Unity. Community.
Teamwork.
I've been involved in a few programs during the pandemic. Along with friends, we raise money for a charity called Kids in Camp. I'm also the director of a club at Western University called Hope for Relief, which provides free tutoring to children in financial need. During COVID, I've been running it via Zoom and Skype. We also launched a new arm of this project that offers this program to families that recently immigrated to Canada.
I co-founded Kola COVID, a network of Toronto Jewish community healthcare providers, which provides guidance and support for the Jewish community at large. I also co-founded Frontline Connect Canada to supply hundreds of data-enabled devices to dozens of healthcare facilities in an effort to keep patients and families virtually connected throughout this pandemic.
The Golden Girls is a program for older senior ladies under the auspices of Bikur Cholim, which we started in 2015 in memory of my daughter Batsheva Zichrona Livracha. We meet in someone's home. We serve a hot meal. We have a whole program of a Dvar Torah, entertainment, but most important, it's camaraderie. Camaraderie of the Golden Girls between each other. Some of them live in the same building and don't even know each other. And camaraderie between the Golden Girls and the volunteers. And there are hugs, so many hugs. Hugs when they come, hugs when they tell us of a simcha. Then came COVID. And in order to combat the isolation and the loneliness, we went on Zoom. Yes, older senior ladies on Zoom. We matched up a volunteer with a Golden Girl. They called them before. They helped them get into the Zoom. And we continue. We have the Dvar Torah and we have entertainment. The only thing we don't have is the hugs.
Before the pandemic, we were organizing young professional in-person programming. And when COVID started, we've transitioned to virtual events, organizing trivia and bingo nights, really anything to make people feel connected to each other. And that's really the point, to make people feel like they're part of the larger community.
Art is a great unifier. During COVID, I turned my paint nights into virtual events. I saw how much happiness people got from reconnecting with family members and how valuable it was for them not only to see each other, but to get to do an activity together. I realized that loved ones could spend time together and create memories even miles apart.
Throughout this past year, I volunteered for NCSY, Hask at Home, and Camp Simcha Without Borders. I'm so privileged to be a part of such amazing organizations that have found ways to help kids and teens who are missing out on their weekly programming and friends stay connected and united during this time.
During the pandemic, my family of 9 have spent a lot of time in our backyard. Last summer, I realized families in the apartment adjacent to our home had nowhere to go and nowhere to play. We started posting on neighborhood email groups and WhatsApp chats that our yard was available for others to use safely. In the winter, families would reserve time on our skating rink to play hockey and skate. This inspired my kids to start delivering cinnamon buns on Erev Shabbat to those in our community who became our honorary Shabbos guests.
I think we can all agree that these are incredible people who have stepped up to change and impact the lives of so many. You can find out more through the Changemaker link on Emunah Toronto's webpage. I believe you will feel inspired by their full stories. Changemakers are, simply put, ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
We are living through unprecedented and difficult times.
This pandemic has affected every aspect of our lives.
All around the world, people have been struggling.
Life has been tough.
It is easy to sit back and only focus on ourselves.
But it is much more fulfilling to try to help someone else.
Just one person.
One act of kindness.
One gesture of support.
If you have the drive, the capability, and capacity,
one change,
one act,
one action
can impact dozens and even thousands of people.
Don't ever underestimate what ordinary people
like you and me can do.
I am your friend, your neighbor,
your classmate, your coworker.
I am just an average person who made a difference.
If each of us takes it upon ourselves to do one act of hesed,
an act of kindness, one act of tzedakah,
together we can change the world.
Together, we can change the world.
If each one of us steps up and does just one thing
to try to make life a little better, a little easier,
a little more comfortable for someone else,
the impact would be immeasurable.
You don't need to be a superhero.
You just need to be yourself and do what you do best.
And do something to try to make someone else smile.
Don't underestimate what ordinary people like you and me can do.
We can actively make a strong, positive impact to improve other people's lives.
Ordinary people doing extraordinary things is what tonight is all about.
You can take action. You too can be a change maker.
You too can be a change maker.
We can comfort families and loved ones
when no one else can be there.
We can call a friend you know who is struggling.
We can shop and deliver food to someone who needs it.
We can create online learning
or social opportunities.
We can be kind and patient.
We can make someone smile.
We can drive someone to an appointment.
We can make a meal for someone who is alone.
We can support local businesses and restaurants.
We can all step up and give of ourselves.
We can all give of our time.
If we could do it,
if we can do it,
if we can do it,
you can do it.
You can do it.
You could be the change.
You could be the change.
You can be the change.
You can be the change.
You can be the change.
Good evening. My name is Ariella Weiss, and I'm the immediate past president of Emunah Canada. As we watch the news from Israel, our hearts break as we witness senseless death and destruction. We stand with our brothers and sisters in Israel. The trauma caused by violence and the constant worry and uncertainty only increases the need for Emunah's services. Please consider making an additional donation, which will be sent immediately to Israel, to our homes, interventional daycares, and counseling centers for emergency counseling and therapy. Click on the button at the top of this page or contact our office directly. Thank you. As our evening comes to a close, I would like to thank all of those who made this event possible. Thanks to all our change makers. Keep doing what you do to help and inspire all of us. Thanks to Shira Schwartz, the dinner chair, the dinner committees, and all the other volunteers who gave in themselves so generously. I would also like to thank Rebecca Rotenberg-Nadler, who worked tirelessly on this video. Thanks to Dina Adato for all your work in the office. And finally, I would like to thank Marissa Muscat, Emunah Canada's National Director, who wears many hats in our organization. Marissa, you were instrumental in almost every aspect of tonight's event. Thank you for the work and dedication you continuously give to Emunah Canada. On behalf of the children and families of Emunah, we thank you, all of you, for your generosity and for joining us tonight. Tonight, you have helped Emunah raise much needed funds. We could not have done it without all of you. Good night, Laila Tov, and may there be peace in Israel soon.
אני מביט מהחלון, וזה עושה לי די עצוב. האביב חלף עבר לו, מי יודע אם ישוב. הליצן היה למלך, הנביא נהיה ליצן, ושכחתי את הדרך, אבל אני עוד כאן, ויהיה טוב, יהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשבע, אז הלילה ועפים אל הצבא, ואחרי שנתיים הם חוזרים ללא תשובה. אנשים חיים במתח, מחפשים סיבה לנשום, ובין שנאה לרצח מדברים על השלום. ויהיה אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. השמיים, עננים לומדים לעוף, ואני